Hey everyone, my name is Ashlyn. I'm a fitness and sports instructor at CFB Borden. I'm also the swim coach with the military swim team here on base, and I had my own swimming career for 17 years prior to this. Today I'm going to talk to you about the importance of strength training for swimmers, the different muscle groups to focus on, and then walk you through a possible workout including sets and repetitions. So strength training is important for both strength-based and endurance-based athletes of all levels, from master swimmers to the elite level. So whether you're an Ironman triathlete or you're a 50-meter freestyler, adding in the strength training to your routine will be beneficial to you. It's important to note, however, that the type of training that you do with regards to repetitions, sets, rest intervals, etc. will vary greatly depending on where on the spectrum from power to endurance athlete that you are. Today I will talk a little more generally about swimming, predominantly freestyle, and I'll throw in some small anecdotes of how to adjust for your specific goals. Research studies have shown that strength training, concurrent with endurance training, does improve endurance performance. However, endurance training for a strength athlete may have the opposite effect. Concurrent strength training can increase the percentage of type 2 muscle fibers without an increase in muscle size. So your type 2 muscle fibers are the ones that provide power and speed, whereas your type 1 muscle fibers are the slow twitch fibers that allow us to do longer distance and lower intensity training. So to clarify, you won't get heavier and more jacked by complementing your swim workouts with weightlifting, but you will teach your body how to generate more power and build strength. Research has also shown an improvement in neural function, meaning your body creates better connectivity. Strength training will teach your body better and healthier movement patterns and keep the muscle systems working together as a team. Swimming alone will create imbalances as your body will become accustomed to those and only those movement patterns. Even if you're a triathlete and you're running and you're cycling on a regular basis, it's still important to add in some strength training to make sure that you're focusing on the different imbalances that you may be creating from those movement patterns and creating an overall connectivity through your entire body. Finally, strength training will create an increase in tendon stiffness. This does not mean that the tendons will struggle to move or that it will reduce your mobility. Instead, it means that your tendons will be stronger and have more integrity, therefore helping to reduce injuries such as shoulder tears or rolled ankles. For my triathletes out there, having stronger yet mobile ankles will provide more spring in your run, but it will also make them strong enough to resist any serious damage in an ankle roll. So what muscles do swimmers use? Well, in short, all of them. But to get more specific, let's look at the freestyle motion specifically. First, the body has to simply balance itself in the water. So all of your balance work is going to originate from your core. And when I say core, I mean not just abdominals, but your core as an entire chunk of your body, from your hips all the way to your shoulders. Anything that your limbs attach to is going to be considered your core. Therefore, any rotational and core stability exercises will always be beneficial to swimmers. Next, you're going to have a very strong kick and kick through the entire race. So kicking is your forward propulsion in the water, but it also helps with your balance while your upper body is doing all the other movements. So strength of the hip flexors, which are along here, the quadriceps, the glutes, and the hamstrings at the back of the leg is going to vastly improve your stroke. Thirdly are your shoulders. The number one injury in swimming is problems with the rotator cuff. So keeping your shoulders strong and stable is going to be vitally important, not only to your speed and your strength in the water, but also the longevity in your sport. Alright, if we want to keep our bodies strong moving through the water, we need to focus on some key movements. So first is our anti-rotation and our core stability movements that I already mentioned. These are exercises like the plank, your plank with an arm or leg lift, a bear crawl, or a Palloff press. Anything that forces you to stabilize the trunk of your body while a limb moves is going to fit into this category. Second are exercises for your lower body. Our flutter kick in freestyle requires us to use the full leg in extension in order to generate power. So your hip flexors will be the main driving force for this power. Different lunge variations will help with this, especially the Bulgarian split squat, where you elevate your back leg in your lunge position, as well as any movement that you raise your knee 90 degrees, so above 90 degrees at the hip or higher, is also going to help. So squats and a stiff leg deadlift or a kettlebell swing will be great to strengthen the glutes, hamstrings, and quads, and it's also going to teach your body how to generate a little bit of power. And thirdly are exercises to strengthen and protect your shoulders. Freestyle takes you through a very large range of motion, and ensuring that you have that mobility in the first place is the first step. Notice in these pictures of elite freestylers, the elbow is very high at the beginning of the catch. This position requires a lot of shoulder mobility, but also strength and stability in that potentially compromising position. Once you're there, you want to ensure that the repetition of laps doesn't wear out your joints. Swimming isn't an impact sport, but it can definitely still wear down your tendons and ligaments. So overhead holds with other movements such as squats or lunges will greatly improve both the mobility and the stability of that shoulder joint. And then lateral and frontal raises will help strengthen the topmost part of your shoulders, while things like pull-ups, lat pull downs, and any type of row will improve your shoulder and your back stabilizers that connect the shoulder to the main part of your body. So all of those muscles are vastly important in stabilizing the shoulder and making sure it stays healthy. So before I discuss the main workout that I've written for you, I'm going to talk about sets, reps, and rest. Now the sets, reps, and rest will vary with the workouts depending on your training level and your racing distance or events. So generally speaking, endurance swimmers want more repetitions and shorter rest periods, while sprinters should be looking at heavier weights, fewer repetitions, and more rest between sets and exercises. Again, as I mentioned, this is very general, so talk to your local PSP staff about finding the program that suits exactly what you're looking for. Just before we go through the workout that I wrote for you guys, I do want to talk about one excellent tool that you can use for strength training, particularly now when a lot of us are unable to get into the pool. So I really like using the stability ball and a set of weights. If you have very light dumbbells or plates that are super light, like 2.5 to 5 pounds, those will work excellent for this next exercise. Given everything that's going on right now, I really wanted to add in these extra skills for any of you who can't get into the pool right now. You can add these into any workout that you do, and even on the days that you feel like you're hoping to get into the water once we're back up and running, but you're unable to because life gets in the way, add these into your workout and they'll be an excellent substitute. So, for this first exercise, you're going to need a stability ball. Anything about this size or bigger will work perfectly. If it's a little bit smaller, it will work, but it'll be that much harder. You're also going to need a wall to anchor your feet against, or have a partner hold them. Keep your weights close by. So for me, I'm going to use some small little plates. If you have dumbbells, they're going to work as well. So set yourself up with your feet against the wall, and the ball is going to rest on your lower belly and hips. You may want to spread your legs out nice and wide so that they feel anchored against the floor. Hold your weights in both hands, whether they're the dumbbells or the plates. Get up nice and tall and feel like your glutes and your hamstrings are already working. Also squeeze your belly so that your core stays nice and tight and you don't go into your lower back. From here, you're going to go into your freestyle stroke. So, coming up, reaching out with one hand, and then you're going to pull back and switch. Now I'm going to show that same exercise from the side with my feet anchored onto some weights. If you have a wall on both sides, that's even better. Keep in mind as you go through this exercise, you're not going to be bringing your arm up into a full recovery. You can just drag the weights as if they were sort of dragging along the water, and that's fine. But you are going to focus on driving each hip into the ball as you rotate with your shoulders and your torso, just like you would in freestyle. Because we all know that freestyle is swum on our side and not strictly on our front. It is hard to see any movement, but do your best to try to drive those shoulders and hips in towards the ball so that you get that rotation. This position can also be held statically without weights. So you come into the exact same position with your feet against the wall, and you come into a streamlined position, focusing on using the muscles within your back, your glutes, and your hamstrings to hold yourself there and get stronger. This is what it's going to look like. As you press your feet against the wall, think about squeezing your glutes and hamstrings and really finding a tight core to stabilize your body. And then the final exercise I want to show you with the stability ball is for your kick. So I'm a huge proponent of working on your kick at all times. I realize that getting into the pool right now is not possible for some people, and you probably want to know how on earth you're going to practice your kick. Well, I have an excellent exercise here. I'm going to demonstrate it quickly, and then I also have a full video on different kick sets from beginner through advanced that you can watch on the Borden PSP YouTube page. So to start with this kick set, you're going to need the ball. At this point, it doesn't matter what size. So if you do have a smaller ball, and that's all you have available to you, it's probably going to work just as well. You may want a partner the first time you do this to hold the ball for you, but if you're feeling comfortable, you can do it on your own. So you're going to get into a plank position on your hands with your feet on the ball, thinking about if you were wearing shoes, that it's just the laces that are going to settle on the ball, not the tips of your toes. Now, if this is enough, you can just stay right here and focus on your balance. If you want to work on your kick though, we're simply going to start kicking the ball. You can see towards the end of my kick, the ball started to lose its way underneath me. This is why it's really great to have a partner to hold it for you. They can just simply stick it between their knees as they lean against the wall, and that way they'll be out of your way but also stabilizing the ball for you. I would suggest trying to get 20 to 30 seconds of solid kicking in every set. Take a little bit of a break and go again. You should be kicking as hard as you possibly can. This should really simulate a solid kick set in the water. Alright, now let's get to the main workout. So now I'm going to go through the workout that I wrote. It's a workout that you can do at home with very minimal equipment. If you're one of the lucky ones that has a full home gym, or you're able to go to your local gym, you can substitute any equipment that you may have or adjust any of the exercises to reflect what we've already discussed earlier and make sure that this workout is challenging for you and reflective of the type of training that you need. So the intermediate swimming workout that I wrote today, I'm going to post here in this video, so you can pause the video at any time to see all the repetitions and exercises that I've compiled for this particular workout. Please keep in mind that you can adjust any of these. You can take supersets and move them into your own workouts, or you can do the full workout start to finish if you would like. I'm going to do a demonstration of all the exercises and talk a little bit about why they're important and just add on to what we've already discussed. So let's get started. The first exercise of our workout is a squat. Make sure that you keep your back nice and flat, you go all the way to 90 or lower, and you keep your knees directly over top of your toes. For an added swimmer advantage, you can also do this in a streamlined position. Next is our lunge. You can do a forward lunge or reverse lunge. You can add weight as a goblet, which is up at your chest, or you can do it overhead as we discussed earlier to get that shoulder stability. Focus on moving directly up and directly down, just like an elevator. Moving into our next superset, we're going to start with a row. I'm going to demonstrate a seated row and a bent over row with a band. You can also do this with weight. So with the band, wrapping it around your feet, you're going to bend over at 90 degrees at the hips and row in towards your chest, keeping your core tight and your back flat. When you're seated, you're also going to want to keep a nice flat back, sitting right up on those sit bones, and nice straight legs. Again, rowing straight in towards your chest. The next exercise of this superset is a push-up. Here you're going to lower down slowly and power up as quickly as possible. You can do this on your toes or on your knees. If you want some added resistance, you can wrap a stretch band around your back and use that for extra challenge. Be sure to keep your core engaged at all times. For our final superset, we have some shoulder work. Here we're going to do the lat pull down. You will need to anchor a band to a wall or a post, then you'll step back and hinge your hips at about 45 degrees. Pull the band down towards your hips, activating your armpits. You can also do this single arm to make it a little bit more like freestyle. For this one, focus a little bit more on that high elbow right at the top of the pull. Finally, we have our frontal and lateral raises. You'll pull the band up so that your arms are at shoulder height and no higher. Keep your core engaged while you do this. For the lateral, you're going to need to set up the band a little differently around your arms. Then you're just going to simply raise to shoulder height, just like the other exercise. So finally, we have our core set. I have 4 different exercises that I'm going to show you. For this particular workout, you're going to go 20 seconds on, 40 seconds rest for each exercise, or you can challenge yourself a little bit more and go 30 seconds on, 30 seconds rest. I would suggest you go through all of the exercises 3 to 4 times. Keep in mind that your core is going to be active in pretty much every exercise that you do. So even though you're not doing specific core throughout the other portions of the workout, you should still be focusing on activating that core at all times. This is just a little bit of a burnout right at the very end of the workout. The first exercise is going to be plank switches. From here, you're going to start in a plank on your elbows on your front. Then, keeping your body as stiff and as stable as possible, you're going to slowly rotate to your side. You'll come back to your front and rotate to the opposite side. Again, trying not to lead with your hips, but moving the full body at the same time. Next, we have our power crunch. You'll start balancing on your hips, slowly stretch out into a streamlined position, and then power up into a crunch. This is very similar to coming into a flip turn and then pushing off the wall. Our third exercise is our side V-ups. So our obliques are very important in the rotation of our stroke. So for here, we're going to focus on those obliques by powering up into a side V. You should feel like you come right up onto the side of your hips. Finally, we have our anti-rotation plank. So we discussed some different movements earlier on in this video. I'm going to show a few variations here. First, you can lift your leg by squeezing your glutes and your hamstrings, almost like you're doing a very slow kick. Keep your upper body nice and stable and still. You can also do this by raising an arm. You want to make sure that your hips stay nice and stable and level as you do this. You may want to widen your stance as a result. And just to add that extra swimming component, you can also do a full freestyle stroke on each side when you lift to work on even more balance. I hope you found this information helpful today, and please do not hesitate to comment below with any questions that you may have. Further, if you are looking for more detail on any of the specific info I discussed today, you can check out my 5-part series on at-home training for swimmers and triathletes at our Board and PSP YouTube page. Thanks everyone for tuning in, stay safe, and have fun with training.